Hey, it's Jordan with TYT Politics. I have Josh Fox on Skype with me, a friend of the Young Turks. And you are in the news indirectly. Your producer has been arrested in North Dakota.
Yeah,
There's been a lot of chatter online, but I'll get it straight from you. Tell me what happened. This was 3 days ago now?
she's been in jail for 2 days straight. 48 hours is the maximum time you can be in jail without being able to speak to a lawyer, and they kept her in jail for 48 hours and did not allow her to speak to her lawyer until the last minute. Let me just emphasize one thing. Daya Schlossberg is my producer on my latest film, How to Let Go of the World and Love All the Things Climate Can't Change. She is a consummate professional and incredible documentarian, and her interest is to shoot things as they happen. She was shooting a protest. It was the Shut It Down protest, where activists shut down tar sands pipelines across the United States, on the border of the United States and Canada. One pipeline, I believe, in North Dakota, one in Minnesota, and one in Washington State. Activists, I believe, now I wasn't there, but the story goes that they shut down the emergency valves, saying this is a climate emergency. We cannot allow tar sands oil into our country. And their former protest was actually to shut off the pipelines by these emergency valves, stating that this is an emergency and we as citizens have to take action. Now, Daya was not a part of the action. She was a journalist shooting that action. I am sure that the people who were involved with the action understood the ramifications of their actions in terms of what the laws are. But Daya was not breaking a law. She was not committing a crime. She was actually performing journalism. Journalism is not a crime, it's a responsibility. And for the North Dakota police to charge her, as they just have, with 3 counts of conspiracy, conspiracy of, I think, theft, conspiracy of stopping a public utility. I have to read from the actual charges. I don't have them in front of me. A potential sentence of 45 years um, for journalism. Makes me really upset. It's a crime for them to be charging her with this. And it's part of a trend. Amy Goodman was arrested in North Dakota at the Dakota Access Pipeline protests for doing journalism. Shailene Woodley was arrested at a peaceful prayer ceremony of Native American tribes because she was live streaming, i.e., reporting. And now Daya Schlossberg, my producer, a brilliant filmmaker in her own right, winner of a college Emmy, is now being charged with conspiracy when she should be given a medal for reporting on the actions of citizens in this country.
So, what information, if any information, have they given to allege conspiracy? Conspiracy to do what?
I don't know the answer to that. It's not very explicit in the criminal complaint, and this is something we're going to look at. But honestly, like if you're an embedded journalist, right? If you're going to the action or to whatever the state would consider a crime, I don't personally consider it a crime. But if you're like, think of how many times Jordan, you, or myself, or anybody out there who was live streaming, who was filming, who's a documentary filmmaker, who's a journalist, think of how many times you're in the position where your camera is the only thing that is witness to an action, and or witness to a crime. Let's not say that this what they did in North Dakota was a crime, because they're certainly innocent until proven guilty, but witness to an action. And simply because you are doing your duty to report to the world the news, what is actually happening, you are now being arrested. Imagine if the people who shot the videos for Black Lives Matter were being arrested because they happened to catch the police shooting citizens. Imagine if you were at a riot in a street shooting that protest and you were picked up as a criminal. Imagine if people in New Orleans were, during Hurricane Katrina or during Hurricane Sandy, were photographing people protesting, and then those journalists were picked up. Imagine if in Iraq or in Afghanistan someone committed a crime and you were sitting there shooting it, and you were arrested. These are the tactics of tyrannical governments. This is not our free society. This is a violation of our Constitution. This is a violation of our First Amendment rights. and we're all very upset,
Hmm.
extremely upset. But it doesn't stop the fact that we're going to fight this. I just got off the phone with Dea. She's still in jail. She was able to make a call. I believe she's being released now, but she is extremely freaked out. Anybody would be if you're staring at a 45-year sentence
Josh,
for simply doing the job.
I just want to clarify a few things because I want to make sure people understand. She was not shooting footage of protest of the Dakota Access Pipeline. This was a separate pipeline.
This is a different action.
Okay.
It's related. The Dakota Access Pipeline is another pipeline that is suspected to carry tar sands
Right.
oil. There are already 4 or 5 pipelines that are doing it, right? So the Dakota Access Pipeline is another one of these pipelines. These activists, in solidarity with Standing Rock, went to North Dakota, went to Minnesota, went to Washington State, and shut down pipelines that were already operating.
Okay.
That are just as dangerous, that are actually that are doing the thing that people in Standing Rock are protesting against. They're transporting crude oil into the United States, tar sands oil, which is extremely, extremely dangerous and very polluting.
And Dana, when she was arrested, did they give anything? You're on private property. You're trespassing, because we've seen that in the Dakota Access protest. What exactly the initial arrest did they stop her for?
Well, they said she was, according to her only quote that I've gotten, they said she was an accessory. And she said, "I'm not. I'm just filming." And they arrested her anyway. But that's the most complete quote. I can find the charges.
Yeah, please. I'd love to.
I have the charges in an email that we just sent out. We have created a letter that to the Attorney General in North Dakota, to President Obama, to members of the media, that says we don't. Obviously, that this is an atrocity to arrest a journalist who is simply doing their job, reporting the news. And the letter does list her charges. Already co-signing on this letter is Daryl Hannah, Neil Young, Francis Fisher, Lee Camp, a number of really prominent activists, Alexis Krauss, the lead singer of Sleigh Bells, Peabody-winning producers, Emmy-winning directors. So we've got a lot of people already signed on to the letter. But the charges that she's been filed with this afternoon, 3 Class A and C felony charges that carry 45 years maximum sentences combined. She's been charged with 2 Class A felony charges and 1 Class C felony charge: conspiracy to theft of property, conspiracy to theft of services, conspiracy to tampering with or damaging a public service. This is crazy. This is a person holding a video camera. That's what they were doing.
So essentially, we're seeing the beginning of what we see in Russia when journalists do journalism.
I can't argue with that. This is the type of action that the Constitution and the First Amendment is supposed to protect. Her behavior, her being embedded, her shooting protest action. This is exactly the type of thing. Like I said, she should get a medal, not an arrest. Dea's reporting, by the way, on fracking, on in the Amazon, on oil spills. You can see a lot of her footage is amazing in How to Let Go of the World. When we go into the Amazon, 12 kilometers deep, into trekking down an oil spill that was never covered. Her work is phenomenal. She is the recipient of a National Geographic Adventurer of the Year award because she walked the entire length of the Andes, 7,800 miles. This is a person who braved, some of the deepest and most terrifying jungles of the world and survived. She is, like I said, a winner of a college Emmy for her first short. A person with an incredible track record, an incredibly well-respected member of our community. Personally, I would say, as director and co-producer with her, I've never seen her get angry. I've never seen her be selfish. I've never seen her even so much as speak in a way that would unsettle a person. This is one of the most gracious, generous, giving, professional people that I've ever worked with. One of my favorite people that I've ever worked with.
And
She's one of my.
sorry. I just want to make sure
No,
where we are, right this minute. She has now been able to talk to her lawyer, correct?
She was allowed to talk to her lawyer once, as far as I understand, on the phone.
Okay.
We are currently, I mean, because this was this is, I believe she needs a First Amendment lawyer. I want like a dozen lawyers, like I want all the lawyers that could possibly pertain to this type of thing. But beyond that, I think it's really important right now, Jordan, as you know, as a journalist, that we have the support of our community. Mm-hmm. We do this not because we make tons of money doing it. We do this because there's a calling and there's a real reason to report. And when you have Dea alongside of Amy Goodman and Shailene Woodley arrested in North Dakota for reporting on what has become an oil and gas, oligarchy, a tyrannical oil and gas oligarchy, an oil oligarchy, something is really, really wrong. Mm. I would, because that is the hotspot right now of the climate movement all around the world. Mm. Standing Rock and these actions, these are very brave people who are doing us all a service. They are not criminals. They are responsible actors who want a future.
And for viewers that are obviously concerned, what is the action steps going forward? What can they do to help?
Well, we're just about to send out the letter. I'll send it to you if you haven't already gotten it. You should get it. We want people to sign on. We may be getting a petition together. I know that there are going to be various hearings and so on going forward. I think the most important thing is to share this story, to talk about it, to not let it stand. This is a moment where we simply cannot afford not to fight. If these charges are not thrown out, we are no longer living in the United States of America governed by our Bill of Rights and our Constitution. It is that serious. And whatever you think of a protest against an oil and gas facility, whatever you think of the actions of these activists, I happen to think they were brave and amazing and beautiful. But whatever your position is on that, on climate change, on fracking, on tar sands, you have to respect the First Amendment. You have to respect the things that hold our society together. Because if we do not have a free press, we're not the United States of America. And the mainstream media, as you well know, Jordan, is not reporting the news. They are reporting a bunch of bullshit over and over and over again and calling it news.
Yep.
We are reporting the news. If it was up to the mainstream media, we would not be talking about fracking. I can assure you that. We would not be talking about the tar sands. We would not be talking about the Dakota Access Pipeline. These were things that were born of very passionate and enthusiastic people sharing this stuff on Facebook. We need to be the media now. And if we have to be up to that responsibility. So these charges against Dea are outrageous. The people who have put them against her are violating the Constitution, in my belief, and they must be dropped immediately. And I also would say to those people who are fighting climate change and fighting the oil and gas industry in North Dakota and put themselves into harm's way, knowingly, it's a beautiful and amazing thing, and I applaud you. And we need more action on climate because we want to have a future. We don't want to lose our major cities. We don't want floods and droughts. We don't want superstorms. We don't want hurricanes. We don't want the things that we've seen in the wake of climate change. That we cannot. We absolutely have to take action. We have to inspire a next generation of people who are responsibly looking at the issue of climate.
Thanks for taking the time, Josh. I know you're obviously understandably emotional, and I will keep on the story, and I'll get it out there. So thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Very, very much. I know the difference between going to jail as a deliberate act and then being nabbed in a moment where you don't want to be arrested. It's a huge difference when you do a civil disobedience act and you're ready and you're prepared and you're protesting. And maybe a lot of people who are, alongside of me in this fracking climate movement know what it's like. You maybe go to jail for a day. You maybe go to jail for a week. You may, like Tim Christopher, go to jail for 2 years, but you're prepared. Dea was doing her job as a journalist. She should not be facing 45 years penalty. This is an outrage in the United States of America. So I appreciate so much what you're doing, Jordan. Thank you so much for putting your attention on this for a minute.
Thanks, Josh. I'll be in touch as developments continue.